Hello, everyone. It's Stacey Ellis here. I know it's been a minute since I did a video. I have been busy, as you can imagine. Um, but I decided I'm going to switch things up a little bit on this video. I am going to talk a little bit about um, being a wife and not just any wife, but being a Christian wife. I see a lot of videos on YouTube by women who are newly married giving advice to other women about marriage, which not that they don't have good advice, but I do feel as though it is important for those of us who have been married longer, who are more advanced in our years, which I know I might not look like I'm advanced in my years. I don't have makeup on right now, so maybe they might show my age a little bit more. Um, but um, it is the job of the women who are older to teach the younger. And so I am seeing women who are like married for less than 5 years giving advice. And obviously, it's because there's people like me who aren't giving advice out there. So I want to do my part. And so I am going to try to start sharing a little bit more content on um, being married, on being a godly wife. What does that mean to be a godly wife? If you have questions or concerns for yourself, maybe you're trying to find a husband, or maybe you are in a relationship right now and you have some questions that you want me to address in future videos, please let me know down below. Um, Also, I am thinking about doing a Bible study for women on a Zoom call. And so, if that's something that you're interested to, then send me a message. I am trying to decide when to start. I am currently doing a few classes right now in just preparation for ministry in general that I am involved with. So I know I'm not going to do it right now, but I am planning on starting hopefully sometime soon within this semester or in a few months. So if you are interested in something like that, let me know. And hopefully we can get something going that fits everyone's schedule. Um, but today I just wanted to give you guys an overview on priorities. What are the priorities that a wife should have? And I know you probably hear this all the time, and you're probably like, yeah, of course, God's your number one priority. And that's true. God is your number one priority, and you should definitely spend time with Him. You definitely should go to church. You definitely should be involved in small groups and read your Bible, pray, have worship time for sure. Definitely, that's number one. God is my number one. My husband knows it for sure. But outside of that, what are your priorities as a wife? Okay. Um, Nowadays a lot of women are working, they might be in school, they might be mothers, and it's been a lot for a lot of women trying to juggle all these different hats, right? They're trying to be successful in every area of their life, which there's nothing wrong with being successful in every area in your life. However, we do have to prioritize the things that are most important according to God's will, right? Regardless of what we want, regardless of our own desires, we need to do God's desires. What is it that God wants us to do in order to be in His will and alignment, right? And so, I will say, outside of course, God, your next priority is being a good wife. Being a good wife. Being a good wife is more important than your job. It's more important than being a good mother. It's more important than, being the best friend to somebody else or anything like that. It's being a good wife first and foremost. Okay. After being a good wife, then comes being a good mother. And then after being a good mother, then things can kind of go into other categories, right? And that might vary from person to person in terms of what that is. So that might be for some people, it might just be being a good sister. It might be being a good boss. It might be being a good teacher or a friend or whatever. I'm not here to tell you those remaining priorities, but those first three, as a woman, those should be your top three priorities. Okay. Now, within each category, there's also different things that you have to have, right? So we talked about having God as the number one priority. If God is a priority in your life, then you should be making time for Him, right? You should be getting in your word. You should be, praying to Him regularly. You should be worshiping. You should be involved in ministry if you're able to. Get involved in a small group if you're able to. Um, go to church. There's so many things that can encompass, right? Well, being a good wife, there's a list of characteristics that encompasses as well. Okay. If you are neglecting the things that are required to be for being a good wife and you focus more on being a good student because you're trying to graduate or being, the most successful person in your job, and that becomes more important, it's going to cause some issues in your marriage. Okay. So I want to say that first and foremost before I put out what does it mean to be a good wife, right? So just keep that in mind. I am not saying that you can't have dreams and ambitions. I personally, those of you who know my story, I went to grad school, I had my PhD in nutrition. I have my own business. I also love to dance. I go and I dance several times a week. Okay. So I definitely have a life outside of just being a wife, for sure. Right. But my priority is to be a wife first. Okay. Before those things. Okay. Now, what does it mean to be a good Christian godly wife? First and foremost, a wife is a helpmate to their husband. You are there to help your husband. Now you're going to have to identify how you can help your husband. It's going to be different for every person, right? Not every husband is going to need the same types of help, right? There's some things that, like for my husband, if I were to do, it would drive him insane, right? But then there's other things that he appreciates and it does help him, okay? Um, so you're going to have to identify what that is for your spouse. Now, he's going to help you too. He does. But I will be honest with you from my experience. Because God designed us to be a helpmate, you're going to feel as though you're doing more helping at times. And that's just because God designed you that way. You are good at detail. You are good at getting things done in an efficient manner. God has created you to do that, okay? But that doesn't mean that your husband doesn't help you either. But there will be times where you'll feel as though you are doing more than he is doing. Okay? It's not necessarily that's the case. It could be. It could be the case that you're doing more. Um, but we're not here in the relationship to keep tallies to see like, well, I helped you 10 times today and you did not help me at all today, or you only helped me one time. You don't do that. Okay, that's not, you're designed to be the helpmate. Okay, so yes, you're probably going to do more helping than he. Okay, but I think it's very important for women to understand that because there's a lot of women who get frustrated because they feel like they're doing all the cleaning, all the cooking, all the chores in the house, and they feel like their husband's not doing anything, right? Um, God designed you like you're just more efficient with it, okay? Not that he can't help. I'm not saying that that's an excuse for him not to get involved and not to help or anything like that. But you can't get mad at him because God did not design him to be a helpmate, right? It's not first nature for him. His first nature is to be a leader in the relationship, okay? And so you do want to help him be in that position where he can lead, right? And not treat him like he's a little kid and like he's your son or something, right? And I see a lot of women do this with their man. They treat him like he's a boy, like he's a kid, like he's someone that you need to baby. Do not baby your man. Helping him does not mean baby him. Okay? It means helping him. Okay? So understand the difference. Okay? Now, I can give you some examples in my own personal life of what I do to help my husband, just to put things in perspective. Okay? So, my husband, he is a high school math and statistics teacher, and he is also a coach. He currently is coaching football and he coaches softball. Okay. And right now we're in the fall season, so he is in football season. Football season tends to be the most busy season for us. It starts in July, where they start their summer workouts, and it goes up until playoffs. And so I'm talking November, December, depending on how far they make it in the playoffs. So a good half of the year is football season, and my husband is very, very busy. Um, where my husband works currently, he actually works 7 days a week. Now, on the weekend, he might not work the full day. He might work only half the day on Saturday and half the day on Sunday, but he still is working 7 days a week. So you can imagine that makes him tired, and he won't have a whole lot of time to do other things, right? And so I feel that my number one priority outside of God is to make sure that I make things a lot easier for him during this season, right? So, during football season, there's times they have a game that might be, hours away. So he's going to get home. It might be 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Um, so sleep, he might lose some sleep, right? And so because of that, I know he gets sleep deprived at times. I set the alarm. I'm a light sleeper. I will hear the alarm. So I will wake up first. My husband can sleep through the alarm. Like it will go off and he won't hear it at all, right? Um, I will wake up. The first thing that I do when I wake up is I get up, I make his coffee, I make his lunch for school, and I make his breakfast. Once his breakfast is done, I will wake him up. He wakes up, he eats his breakfast. He normally will go and grab clothes that he wants to wear and put them on the bed. And he'll eat breakfast. He'll go, in the bathroom, start getting ready. And while he's doing that, I'm ironing his clothes. And I am hanging them by the door because he wears two sets of clothes. They have workouts in the morning, so he wears gym clothes to coach it, and then he has to change, right? So I iron his clothes for when he's actually teaching, right? And so I have that ready. I will make sure that he has what he needs in his bag. So, a towel and washcloth because he does take a shower afterwards, so he's not stinky all day. If there's anything that he needs in his bag, I try to help him get those things in his bag and ready to go for the day. Um, and then once he's ready to go, he normally has a lot to carry because he's carrying his gym bag, he has his clothes on a hanger, he has his lunch. He also has a big water jug so he doesn't get dehydrated because sometimes I'm in Texas, it gets hot, so he has to drink a lot. So I prep that water, I put electrolytes in that water beforehand. And sometimes he doesn't finish his coffee. So then we also have his coffee to carry. So I'm helping him carry all these things to his car. I am during this time too in the morning. I'm loving him, making sure I try to hug him, give him some affection for his long day so he feels at least, a little bit better for the day, right? And then I say goodbye to him and he goes to work, right? Um, I also, to help him, I purposely chose, so I graduated um, about a year ago now. And I decided after you know, going, debating through these things to do private practice. And part of the reason why I decided to do private practice is because, yet again, my number one priority is to help my husband. And there are times that my husband has an emergency. Maybe he finds out last minute that they have to wear a gray shirt instead of a red one to their game, right? Well, he can't come home to get that shirt. And so knowing that I have the flexibility to quickly grab that shirt and take it to him, it's helpful for him and it helps his day not be so stressful. He's a teacher. I will tell you, I used to be a teacher. Okay. He's a teacher and he's a coach. Teachers have a very hard job. Okay. And so I want to make sure that I make it as easy for him as possible. I'm there to help him as much as I can. Right. Um, Now the meals that I make him, I try to make him healthy meals. So what he has for breakfast, I try to give him a high protein breakfast so he has energy and he doesn't get hungry soon after. I try to make him a lunch, again, high protein, a nutritious lunch, so that way he doesn't have to go get fast food or go hungry or anything like that. So I'm being mindful even with the meals that I make. I also keep in mind when he's coming home, and I try to prepare meals for him when he comes home. Now, there are some days they feed them, right? They're on the road, they have a game. So on those days, I get a little bit of a break. I don't have to make a meal. So today, actually, today's a Sunday. They feed them. They have, I think the Booster Club feeds them. And so I don't have to cook for them. So I get a break. It's not like I'm ongoing, like making meals for this man over and over again, right? Like I have days where I can eat leftovers and I don't have to cook, right? Really, half the week they provide meals for him, which is very great and awesome. So I don't have to worry about that, right? Um, but I will do that for him. And then, when he comes home, he's just been around a bunch of people. He's been coaching all day. Um, so he likes to take a minute. He's an introvert, so he needs to take a minute. So I try to give him a minute. Now, he knows that I sometimes am working from home, and there are days where I'm not talking to that many people. I'll talk to my clients, but it's very different talking to clients than it is having conversations with like coworkers, right? That's the one thing about private practice that I don't like. It can kind of be lonely at times if you don't have coworkers to work with, right? Um, and so when he comes home, I'm so ready to just tell him about my day. I'm so excited to start talking to him. But I know that he needs a minute. So I try to give him a minute before I go and I start like just talking away at him. And I'm talking to him because I'm just excited he's home. I want to update him on everything in my life. And I just am excited. So I talk to him, right? But I've learned it's helpful for me to be quiet for some time so he can decompress and recover for the day, right? And so those are areas that I help my husband, right? So those are just some examples, okay? So you can do similar things. Again, everyone's different. You got to see what your husband needs, right? You got to see what is most important for him. Now, I will tell you, it took years for me, right? Like, I literally had times where I would struggle with this, right? But you don't know unless you start asking questions. I didn't understand why my husband would sit in the car for a second before he came in until he finally said, like, I've been around people all day, I've been talking all day, and then you're coming here talking to me. I need a minute, right? So have those conversations so that way you know what it is that they need help with, what it is that they're needing from you, right? Um, and so that is your priority, right? Now, for me, being a helpmate to my husband does not mean I have to be a stay-at-home wife. Okay. I'm helping him in the morning and I'm helping him, you know, ever so often. If he needs something, I will help him. And then in the evening. Okay. Now, I don't necessarily have to work in private practice to help him. That's only one area in the fact that, he might need clothes during the day or some type of emergency. That's something that I've decided right now in this season to do because I feel like that's what he needs. And I actually feel like God's telling me to do private practice. So it makes sense for me to do that. But if I feel as though God's telling me to switch over to something else, I know God will provide and things will be okay, right? I know not everybody can work from home, right? So I will say that. Okay. I'm not saying that you have to be a homebody. Now, I will say other areas in terms of being a helpmate. Again, using my relationship with my husband as an example. My husband works really hard. I know not everybody has husbands that work as long hours as mine. I mean, my husband, he has to be at work at 6, he comes home at 8. And that is Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday the hours are a little bit different. Okay. And then game days actually are longer, right? Because they have the game. So because of those hours, I'm not gonna expect my husband when he comes home to clean. I know some of you guys are like, what? I don't because he works so hard. He works more hours than me. So, yeah, I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. I even cut the grass. He doesn't like that I cut the grass, but he works so hard. I can't like ask him to cut the grass. He'll do it if, he'll do it, but I will just do it because he's tired, right? I'm there to help him, right? So, my job as helping him is to make sure that the house is taken care of. I pay the bills, I clean the house, I do the grocery shopping. And he takes care of our family by making the majority of the money right now, right? Maybe one day with my private practice, I will make more money than him, but that's actually not my priority. My priority is being a good wife to my husband. And I know some people are like, well, you went to school, you need to put that to good work. I am putting it to work within my boundaries of my priorities. It it is what it is. Okay. Um, Now, from my experience, so I actually work, again, I'm a dietitian. I work with a lot of female clients this season of my life. I don't know why. The majority of my clients currently are females. And they tell me a lot. And I'm seeing patterns that are occurring. And so I can tell you that when you don't have your priorities in check and you put your job before your family. Now, I didn't even talk about, I'm not a mom, so I can't really tell you um, a lot about being a mom. I, of course, will tell you that your children are definitely a priority and it's important for you. You know, first and foremost, you need to be there for your husband, but next, you need to be there for your children with the raising of them and making sure that they are learning who God is, learning what it means to be a civilized uh, person in society, teaching them, you know, it's not the school's job to teach them. Yes, they can go to school, but it's your job to make sure they're actually learning. It's your job to, if there's something that they're not being taught, that you teach them, right? That is more important than your work. Okay. Sorry. I know you love it. I love it too. I love what I do. I love my hobbies and all of that. But that is not as important as your priority as a mother. I will say that. Okay. I can't really go into further about being a mother because, again, I'm not a mom. But I do know, like I said, it needs to be more important than your work. But going back to what I was saying, I see women after women after women that are exhausted, that are stressed out, that they are eating horrible diets. They don't take care of themselves. They are talking about drama that's happening in their family. like so many things. And it boils down to them not having their priorities straight. I'm just calling it out as it is. I know for me, this is something that I had to work through because I was in a different career and I switched careers. Okay, so I have no sympathy because I went through the work. I went through the work of changing careers, right? So you can't tell me none, right? If you really want your priorities to be in check, you will do what you need to do to get your priorities in check. That's all I gotta say. Okay. When you get your priorities in check, things will start aligning. Your life won't be as stressed. Yeah, my life can get stressed, but I learn it's stressed because I'm starting to get out of alignment with what God wants me to do, right? Like, I'm not supposed to work on the weekends because I'm supposed to do ministry because God called me to do ministry on Saturdays, right? I'm not supposed to, work, you know, however many hours or things like that, you know. Why? Because God called me to do X, Y, and Z. Right? When you start saying yes to things that God did not tell you to say yes to, that's when stuff starts to fall apart. That's when your health starts to fall apart. That's when your relationships start to fall apart. That's when you start becoming depressed and anxious and stressed out your mind. You might be thinking, well, what am I supposed to do? I got to pay my bills. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And we know these things. God has been taking care of me and my husband. I have school loans. I went back to school and um I took out student loans to go back. And when I finished school, I was like, I need to pay these student loans off. And I was freaking out. It's like I gotta work. I gotta work. I gotta work. And God kept telling me, hold on, do what I tell you to do. You need to go into private practice. You need to take your time learning how to do these things. You need to do what I'm telling you to do, and I will take care of you. And guess what he's been doing? He's been taking care of us, okay? We have plenty of food. We are lacking nothing. We have a roof over our head. And on top of that, the Lord has helped me to be able to pay even more on my student loans than what they state that I have to pay every month. Every single month, I've been paying more. Why? Because the Lord is helping me. Why? Because He sees that I'm trying to do what He wants me to do. He will grant you favor. He will help you. Okay? Now, I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it because of all of that, but He will take care of you. I went to school and I continued with school because I know that's what God wanted me to do. I did these things. God had opened up the doors for me to do different things, and I knew God was doing it. I did not understand why. I did not understand why I was in school so long. I didn't understand why I was going through different things, but I knew God was there the whole time. And you may be going through things now you may not understand why. It might not make sense. It might make more sense to you. Well, I need to work this 9 to 5 job that's stressing me out because I got to pay X, Y, and Z. And yeah, my relationship with my husband might go waver, but I need to pay X, Y, and Z. If you put your things in alignment in conjunction with the word of God and you do what God tells you to do and you trust Him and you do what He tells you to do, He will take care of you. You will not lack anything, right? Yeah, we're not rich, okay? We don't make six figures, okay? We don't own a house, okay? We rent, okay? And for some of you, you might say, well, that's a problem. I know everything happens in the right season and everything. God's been taking care of us, and He will do the same for you. He had brought us from, we had we were living in a 4 bedroom house. Our salary income was cut in half. We had to move to an apartment from a 4 bedroom house to a 2 bedroom apartment. And that by being faithful and doing what He has told us, He has continued to help us grow. We grew in our relationship within each other. We grew in our wisdom. We grew in our faith. He has blessed us. He's been taking care of us. I mean, this couch was given to us. Like there's blessings upon blessings I did not ask for, and the Lord has been taking care of us. If you do what God tells you to do, even when it's hard, even when deep down there's something that you want to do. I had times where so dance is my number one passion. I could have danced with different companies. I could have been in music videos. I could have compromised myself a long time ago. Like literally, I could have. And I did not. Why? Because God is my priority. Money is not a priority. Okay. When you put God first, He will take care of you. That's all I can say. Okay. Okay. And your priority is Him first, following what He says to do, being a good wife, not neglecting the the job He gave you, right? Being a wife, being a mother. Then and only then, when you put those first, then you can have time to do other things. I'm not saying you can't work. The Proverbs 31 woman worked, right? But what did she do first? She took care of her household first. So, all right. This was a long ramble, but I wanted to let you guys know because, I it's happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place. People are their priorities are off whack. And I just wanted to let my life be a testimony to you all. Um, and if that's encouraging to anyone, I know there's some people who are in the same situation as me, and you're like, well, I want to be a good wife. I want to work. How do I make it work? If you put it in perspective, you will be able to work still. I definitely work. I work. And God makes it work so I can work. He'll make it work for you. That might still be an 8 to 5 job. It might. It just depends on where you're at in your season. He will make it work. Okay. So, all right. If you have questions or concerns about, um, you know, relationships, about being married, like I said, there are a lot of people giving advice on YouTube that have not stood the test of time in terms of being in a marriage, have not actually went through things, have not actually shown themselves to be approved in terms of their relationship. I'm not saying that our relationship is perfect, but I do think that me and my husband's relationship is pretty good. I'm grateful. That's all I can say. So if you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and leave those questions or send me a direct message. I would love to do future videos helping women in these topics and answering them. I know that this is kind of informal right here. I'm sitting by my couch and it's kind of not the best background or anything like that, but I just decided, hey, let me just get on here and tell you guys what's on my heart and we'll just take it from there. And I am, like I said, I am hoping to do a Bible study, a women's Bible study in the next couple of months via Zoom. So if you're interested in that, leave a message or comment down below and I will get in contact with you and let you know when we're going to do that. And it won't be ongoing. We're probably going to do seasons where we have it, then take a break, and then have it and take a break. Just because um, I find from the from other groups that I've been in, I think those breaks are great because you might have like vacation, holidays, and stuff like that. So um, we'll do that. But all right. Well, it was nice talking to you guys. Leave a comment down below. Like this video, subscribe. I hope to do some more videos. And I hope also I'm going to have a YouTube channel for my nutrition. business soon as well. So y'all pray for me for that because I'm trying to figure all that out still with my schedule and everything. Um, and so hopefully we'll get that going here soon too. But until next time, I love you guys. Grace and peace to you. And see y'all next time.